Hi, I'm Tyler.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Emily.
And we're going to be doing some problems related to cost curves. And keep in mind that our notation might be different than your professor's, so keep that in mind while you're doing your homework.
Okay, so now we're going to do average fixed cost, average variable cost, and average total cost. So the equation for each of these, so first we'll do average fixed cost. And the equations for each of these would be average fixed cost. So you take average or total fixed cost, which would be this column, and divide each of them by quantity. So we'll do the first one. And in the first column of all of these, there's just no values. So let's do this one. So you take the fixed cost, which is 100, and then you divide it by the quantity, which in this case is 1. So you get that 100 for the first one. And then if you do it for the second one, take the fixed cost of 100, and then you divide it by the quantity, which in this case is 2 now, and you get 50. Then you do that for the same for the third, so you take 100 again, and divide it by 3 this time, and you get 33.33. And then you just keep doing that for the rest of the numbers. So then you do 100 divided by 4, which is 25, and then 100 divided by 5, which is 20, and you keep going, 16.67, 14.29, 12.50, 11.11, and then finally 100 divided by 10, you get 10. So now let's do average variable cost in this column. So that equation is you take the total variable cost, which is this column right here, and you divide each of those now by quantity again. So you take 20 and you divide it by a quantity of 1. So you get 20 for the first one. And then for the second one, you take 38 and you divide it by a quantity of 2. And you get 19. And then you take 51 and divide it by 3. And you get 17. And then you just keep doing that. So now for 4, you take 62 divided by 4, which in this case is 15.50. Then you take 75 divided by 5, which is 15. And then you take 95 divided by 6, which is 15.83. Then 118 divided by 7, which is 16.86. Then you just keep going, and it's 18.13. For 9, you take 177 divided by 9, and you get 19.67. And then finally, you take 215 divided by 10, and you get 21.50. Okay. So finally, we're going to solve for average total cost. So what you take is you take total cost, which is this column, and you divide it by the quantity, which is this column. So for the first one, we would take 120 and divide it by 1, and you get 120. And then you would take 138 and divide it by 2. 138, and you get 69. And then you take 151 and divide it by 3, and you get 50.33. And then you keep going. So you take 162 divided by 4, and you get 40.50. Then same, you get 35. 32.50 for that. 30. And then finally, if you take this last one, you get 315 divided by 100, and you get 31.50. Okay, so now that you have all of these values, you can look for trends. So as you can see with average fixed cost is constant here. It's always 100. So every time you divide it by a higher and higher quantity, it's going to decrease over time. Whereas if you look at average variable costs, these are all different. They're still increasing here, but they're all different values, and you're dividing it by a higher quantity every time. So at first it's decreasing, but then it gets to this point and it starts increasing again. So that's just a trend to notice. And then finally, if you look at average total cost is also variable. So same with this one, it has a varying, like it starts to decrease and then it increases again down here. So that's just important to notice. So each of these relationships that we're noticing will have an effect on the product curves and all the curves once you start drawing them. So these relationships are really important to note, like where they change, where they start increasing and decreasing. So yeah, and Tyler will cover that in the next section.